Welcome to the Pretty Confident Podcast, where we embrace authenticity, own our worth, and build unshakable confidence. I'm your host, Sierra Renee, so let's dive in. Hello, you guys. I am so sorry for this episode being uploaded late. Y'all know an episode is supposed to drop every Monday at 8 a.m., but sometimes I'm just not able to make that cut. Y'all, I have so much going on in my life. I started a new role. I'm just now getting into the nitty gritty of the role because the whole month of June, because I started June 1st, for those that don't know, but the whole month of June, I was getting my certification to be able to review deals and everything that I need in this role. So that was my whole June. And now, when I started July, when we all started July, is when I actually started reviewing deals with people and starting to pull deals of my own. So it's a long process to say the least. So yeah, I mean, I've just been busy with that, and then I am engaged, so there's a lot of things that's been going on with that. So I'm supposed to be paying for the venue this Friday, locking in our dates. I'm not gonna tell you guys yet until it's locked in, but I am leaning towards October of 2026. I don't know why October was speaking to me so much. The only thing at first that I knew was in October was his birthday, and mind you, our anniversary. We started dating on his birthday in 2022, so I was like, I don't know. I feel like October is a great month. You really don't have to worry about like rainy or super hot or super cold conditions in October. But in Tennessee, you never know what the weather is gonna be. So, oh, I didn't know that was gonna rhyme. Look at me. But yeah, so I was just like, I don't know. I want October. Like, I love the month of October. Like, if I could choose my favorite month, it would probably be October. But I definitely wanted my wedding sometime in the fall because I love the fall with, the leaves and everything changing, good weather. Like, it's not too hot, it's not too cold. So I just felt like that was the perfect month for me. And then I try to be very intentional with whatever I do, especially something as big as this. I want to be able to be like I don't know, just be married and have an anniversary around a time that I like. And my fiance, he really doesn't care. His only request was that it wasn't on his birthday because we want to separate the two now, or he at least wants two separate things to celebrate, if not only one thing to celebrate, because he doesn't really like celebrating his birthday. So yeah, you guys, that's been me in a nutshell. What have you guys been up to? How are you guys doing? How are you all feeling? The first full week. Is it the first full week? Because I feel like July started on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Regardless, how is your first full week, nonetheless, of July going? I know we have some things that we want to set our sights on for July. In the last episode, we did talk about things that we've accomplished in the first 6 months of the year. And so I really want us to focus on, especially me, I really want us to focus on honing in and locking down on the second half of the year. We got 6 months to the end of the year, so we need to be looking back and being able to have something to say. I accomplished X, Y, and Z, or I was able to work closer to this goal by accomplishing A, B, and C. Okay, so I'm not saying that you have to accomplish something every week, every day, every month. As long as you're getting a step closer to whatever your goal is, that is what we are trying to get to. And not only that, we also want to make sure that we have something that we're looking forward to, or something that we want to accomplish. Because if we don't have anything that we want to accomplish, there's something that we are missing. I know everybody is not content, especially at my age. Sometimes I know sometimes we are not content with where we want to be. So being able to look outward, figure out what type of lifestyle do I want to live. Am I living the lifestyle that I want to live right now, or is there something that I could be working towards or doing better in? Whether that's a hobby, whether that's self-care, whether that's motivation, whether that's gaining confidence, whether that's going to the gym, whether that's trying to buy a house, whether that's trying to start a family, whether it's being married and trying to get engaged, or being engaged and getting married, setting a date, getting things locked in place. Like, what are we working towards? If we don't have a goal or where, if we don't have a destination locked in of where we want to be or where we are trying to go in this next point of our life, then we are aimlessly walking around. We are not on a straight path and we don't know where we're going, so we're just lost. So I want to make sure we're all setting at least two or three goals, especially a year, if not anything else. And if they're super, super vague, you need to start breaking that stuff down and figuring out how to work towards them graciously and not without failure, because failures are just lessons learned. And now we know what did not work for us, which may work for somebody else. So I just want everybody to be able to have the confidence to put themselves out there. I feel like a lot of people, when they get to a certain age, they're just like, oh, well, I've been doing this for so long. Nothing's going to change now, or it's too late to change. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to find what you're passionate in. What one person is passionate in one season is definitely going to be different than what you are passionate in 2 to 20 to 30 years from now. So never get, settled in place. Never get complacent. Never get too comfortable, because when you get comfortable, you're reluctant to change. And I don't want you to be reluctant to change, because every change that is doing something better for you is just you evolving, you updating to a better version of yourself. You get into the next level, a stage in life that maybe you didn't even know that you wanted to get to, 10, 30 years ago. So definitely, definitely, definitely put your foot out there and stop being afraid. Build the confidence, find what you're passionate about. And you guys, I know I told you all that I wanted to go back to school and I applied to go back. Well, your girl has been accepted. And for me, I was very afraid to be like, well, I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna go back to school. Because for the longest, y'all know my OGs, y'all know that in my previous episodes, I was like, what's the point of going back to school? What is the point? Somebody explain the point to me. And it's not so much finding somebody to explain the point to me, but me making, like, looking at all of my options and making it make sense. Like, if the math isn't mathing, I'm not about to go back. And I kept telling y'all that, my mom, my grandma, everybody was like, oh, just go back for your master's, or do this, or I did this, it'll be best for you. Well, that's what you think will be best for me. Is that something that I truly believe will be best for me, or am I doing it to appease other people? I am no longer in the business of pleasing other people, living up to other people's standards. And so once you get to that point, then you start to live for yourself. But when you're still in that chokehold of, oh, well, this person wants me to do this, and I need to do this so that this person can be proud of me, or this person can be happy with me. At the end of the day, appeasing other people is not pleasing yourself. And so if you are only trying to live up to other people's expectations and reach other people's standards, at that point you are living for somebody else, and you could be miserable than the next person, or the most miserable person that you could probably know, if you are living for other people and it's not truly what you want. Because at that point, you are giving your life to somebody else. You are allowing somebody else the controls to your life and allowing them to steer you in directions that you don't want to go in. Your body, your mind, your emotions, your mental capacity is all saying system error, because you are not in control of your own life. So you guys need to start taking control of your own life and figuring out what works best for you, not what this person wants me to do and what they think will be best for me. Because at the end of the day, not everybody know exactly what you want, and not everybody can envision the life that you want for yourself. And so they are going from a perspective of themselves, because we all look at life through a different lens. And so the life that they are looking through for themselves and for you is through a lens of only things that they know and think can work. But what they think may or may not work for you. Okay, so the only person that could tell you what to do with your life when you get to a certain age of being able to be independent and knowing exactly what you want and using the resources and tools. And if you don't have the resources and tools in your toolbox, being able to find those resources and tools is you. So that's one of the main things is, I used to be a yes man. And when I say that, it's just like, oh, whatever my parents say or whatever my mom say I need to do, that is what I'm doing. Well, no, there's a lot of stuff that she keeps telling me I need to do, but doesn't make sense to Sierra. If it does not, I'm not doing it. And I'm straight up with her. I feel like more so, more recent than not, I have been speaking up for myself a lot lately. And it's not in a rude sense. You guys know what I say. You can be truthful, you can be honest without being rude. And so when you speak your mind, when you say your piece, other people don't have an option to, combat with what you say is best for you. Especially with me and this whole wedding stuff, I feel like I'm learning to put my foot down on what I do and don't want and what I will and will not accept for people that's close to me and not close to me. This is where I am learning, like, dang, Sierra, you have been a little bit too complacent. You've been letting people skate by or do X, Y, and Z without them really having any consequences. And that could be lack of confidence, or it could be lack of, I don't want to say self awareness, but the people pleasing stuff. This literally right back to that. Literally people pleasing. So I am no longer in that business. And especially when it comes down to this wedding, when it's only about me and one other person. And yes, our families are uniting, but at the end of the day, it is me and my fiance joining unions and is going to be locked into this for the rest of our lives. So if I am, compromising or being walked over for letting stuff happen or allowing people to come when I don't want them to come and doing X, Y, and Z, I am going to be miserable. Like I just said, you are going to be miserable if you allow other people to dictate what to do in your life or at certain events that are, a special one time, once in a lifetime thing. And yes, you could get married multiple times. Yes, you could do, different ceremonies, but the very first one is always going to be the one that you remember. It's the most special. It's the first one. It doesn't matter how many times or how many different ways you do a ceremony after the first one and vow renewals and everything like that. But that first one is what is locked into your head. And I don't want to have any regrets or, oh, well, I shouldn't have invited these people or, oh, I shouldn't have, allowed this person to be this to me on this day. So I am making sure I am taking all precautions to, one, alleviate any unneeded stress on my day, and I'm making sure I do that now before emotions kick in high drive and I'm making irrational decisions closer to time. So that's why I'm trying to make sure I'm getting everything, all my ducks in a row now. Like, I've removed maybe like 5 people from my guest list. And that's on my side of the guest list. It's not even on my fiance's side. So, at first we had well over 80 people, and now we have less than 80 people. I think less than 75 or right at 75 people. And so it's just like, am am I making the best decisions for me and what I want my day to be? Am I inviting people out of obligation or people that I truly want there and would kind of feel a little devastated if they didn't come, but would understand, given whatever circumstances they're going through, right? And so if I'm inviting you for out of obligation, that's not true to me. I'm not inviting you because I really want you to spend this day with me. I'm inviting you because I feel like, oh, well, so and so, probably invited me to this, or I've known this person for so long, like they would feel hurt. Why are we worried about what other people will feel on my day? Like, it should be, what does Sierra and her fiance want to feel? What energy does she want brought into the room of where everybody will be experiencing their love unite? Like, I'm done with the, oh, I'm doing stuff out of obligation and I'm only doing this, inviting this person to please them. If it's not pleasing me, I could give a damn if it's getting on your nerves or hurting your feelings, okay? I don't know. And for those that, I truly, 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 truly love and want there, I'm inviting them. Now, if they do or don't RSVP, that's up to them. But it's in my heart that I felt like, okay, I wanted you here. I offered, I extended the offer. Now, if you're able to come or not, completely up to you. No love lost. But I feel like it should go the opposite way as well. If I don't talk to you as much, if you don't really know me and my fiance, if I have not seen you in more than a year, sorry. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But at the same time, just like I said, no love lost. If I extend that offer and you don't come, there should be no love lost or no love lost. Sorry. If I don't extend the offer, like it's not saying like, oh, F you, like I never want to see you again in my life. I don't, like you. That's not what no invitation is saying. It's just I have limited space that I want, like the limited amount of people that I want there, and I'm only picking the ones that I truly, truly believe that will be there for my marriage and that I want to be there. This is at no point, no factor of what does the other person or how will this person feel if I do or don't invite them. Okay, so enough about me rambling. How are you all doing? Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode. I just felt like I had to get that off because I feel like I find myself defending myself a lot lately. Uh, and sticking true to exactly what I want. And I love that for me because, like I said, at first I used to be a pushover, yes man, whatever you want, whatever my mama says. No, what does Sierra want and what does Sierra want to do and how does she want it to look? It's my day. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing the best and everything in my power to make sure my day is exactly how I want it. And not exactly how I want it, but in what I can control, making sure that that's exactly how I want it. Because, like I always tell y'all, there's some things that's in this life that we can't control, and we can't always be upset with it because if it's out of our control, there was nothing that we could have done about it. So let's go ahead and get into this episode. First off, thank you, OGs. Thank you for returning. Thank you for being flexible with me with not always posting on a Monday. I'm always gonna try to post every week at least. And I may or may not change the dates of when stuff gets uploaded, but you guys, we are going visual next week, July 15th. The first visual podcast episode will be up on YouTube. So if you don't already follow me on YouTube or haven't already subscribed and turned on your push notifications, definitely go ahead and do that because your girl will be visual. I'm kind of nervous because I'm like, how do I want to approach you guys? Do I want to approach y'all barefaced, bonnet and head, like all of that, or do I want to get a little done up? I don't know, but I don't wear makeup a lot, so I'm definitely not gonna try to put on a facade and show up in, my unauthentic self. I do enjoy putting on makeup, but every single time just for a podcast episode, it may not happen. And this will definitely be a space where it's like, come as you are. I am not about to do a whole face, put on all the, like, put on the most extravagant clothing. I'm not doing all of that for a podcast. So I'm gonna dress nice. I'm going to look presentable, but doing the whole extra just for the podcast, I don't think I'm gonna do that unless I do it one time and I really, really love it. We'll see. But yeah, I want to come in my most authentic self and I want you guys to feel your most authentic self when you are watching. So yeah, but yeah, we're going visual next week, so I'm super excited about that. And if this is your first time tuning in, or first, not even your first episode listening to, thank you for being here, regardless of if you stay or not. I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me your time and consideration, and hopefully you stay a part of the Pot Squad forever. But if you don't, I truly understand. I am still taking episode ideas from everybody. If you do want to, enter one, then definitely let me know. Like I said, my YouTube will be the Pretty Confident Podcast, and you'll see the same logo everywhere. And I'm also on Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Also on Instagram, which I have not been doing a good job posting on, but it is there. It is prettyconfident.pod. And then if you do want to send me an email, which I don't think anybody would, but just in case you want my email, it's the prettyconfidentpodcast@gmail.com. So with all of that wrapped up, with a good little introduction, kind of underway, and we're almost about 20 minutes into this episode. Let's go ahead and talk about the topic at hand. This B Simone controversy. I know I may be a little late to the party, but I definitely wanted to give my take on the entire situation just because I do listen to her podcast on a weekly basis. I know there's a couple episodes that I do need to catch up on just because like I said, life has been life in it. I haven't even listened to my own podcast episodes. After publishing, I always listen to it before I publish and then after I publish. But nonetheless, there are a couple episodes that I do have to catch up on with her. But the latest one that I did listen to was the one where she had her friend on there. And it was kind of hard to listen to. I listened to the audio version. I don't watch her YouTube version just because the audio one is a lot more convenient for me. And so I feel like maybe if people watch the YouTube version, there may be some more context there, given like facial expressions or body language or anything like that. But it was kind of weird to hear over audio just because of how the conversation went. And I do want to say we all have our ups and downs. We all have our controversies with people that we love and know. So I don't want to say anything where it's just like, well, B Simone is wrong. B Simone is wrong. Because it could be, in fact, that she is not wrong. Or, in their own sense, they may be wrong and right in different ways. Okay, so there are a few things that I want to touch on, being that, like I said, I do listen to her on a weekly. I feel like if you don't listen to her on a weekly or know the journey that she's on, certain things can be taken out of context, or certain things can be a little different as far as like how you perceive the message versus the journey that she's on, how it was truly intended. And another thing, I'm not saying that I know her intentions. I'm not saying that this is exactly what she meant, because the only person that could truly explain themselves to the best degree is the person that is doing the talking, the person that, is in the controversy themselves. And it is completely up to her if she addresses it or not. Like I said, I haven't listened to her most recent episodes lately just because I've been so busy. So I don't know if she's addressed it or not. If she does address it, I'll come back and kind of say what I think, or how I feel, or how I perceived it. After listening. But like I said, different people interpret different things different ways. And a lot of people are just out there to make you look bad. So I don't know. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I don't know. I like B Simone just because she's authentic. She's forthcoming or forthright, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like she has a severe case of either a savior's complex. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because in previous episodes and uh on her previous podcast with her ex-best friend or whatever, she did say that she had a savior's complex, and this was something that she was being transparent about when she was talking to one of their friends that was a therapist. And so I want to say either she's masking that savior's complex, or it's coming off as high functioning codependency. I don't know. This is how I am interpreting things by being somebody that listens to her podcast almost every week. Okay, so first thing first, I already noticed that B Simone kind of like was still in her savior's complex slash like codependency. I don't know. You guys tell me which one you guys think it is, but um, she kept saying in the episode that whenever she brings people into something or brings people on, she doesn't want them to focus on anything but the thing that she brought them here to do. So her podcast, LTTA. And I'm trying to like break it down. So this episode may be a little long, because I am trying to break it down in case those that don't listen to her or don't want to go listen to the episode doesn't want to. So I'm trying to break it down and give you all some context. But one thing that she did keep saying in the episode was, she's tired of people going off and doing their own thing or not giving, the thing that she brought them on to do 100%. Sorry, I had to say sneeze. But she said that she was tired of people, coming onto her team and not giving their 110% to the brand that she is building. She also said that if they want to do something, then they need to let her know up front before she brings them on. That way she can potentially put them on and build an empire underneath her. And so I feel like for that, that is, I don't know, that kind of hit me differently because I was like, well, I don't want somebody on my team if they are not aspiring for something else individually for themselves. So she's basically saying, and what she did say out of her mouth was that if you're coming onto my team, I don't want you to be focused on anything else. Whatever you want to do on the side, that needs to wait for the time and duration that you are on my team. So say that somebody is on her team for 2 to 3 years. If you have something that you want to accomplish for yourself personally, she's telling you put that off to the side because you're going to be 100% into my business for the time being, for the 2 to 3 years that you signed this contract. Or I don't know if they sign contracts or not. I would think that they do, being that she's kind of like employing them because she pays them. But that's like my 9 to 5 telling me, okay, I hired you to do X. While you're doing X, you don't need to be worried about Y or Z in your personal life. That's not that to me. That's not. I don't know. That's not cool to me. I didn't like how that sat with me. It did bother me because it's just like you're telling these people to put their lives on hold for you, and I feel like when you want to be the center of everybody's attention, which she already said that she had a problem with trying to be in the limelight and always wanting attention and always wanting this and always wanting eyes on her, I feel like it's kind of contradictory or dictory, contradictor. It's contradicting, okay? When you say you want to fix your saviors complex, you say you want to fix, not relying on everybody else. You say you don't want to be heavily looked to or looked on, but all of the actions that you are doing and putting in place and showing the world, because you are still on a platform that you see that other people and other women and everything still follow you. And so when you say that you don't want to be or don't want to have a savior's complex, but you're wanting everybody to work up under you and tell you on the front end if they want to, do something, or this is what they're aspiring to be or do or accomplish, you want to put them on that way. That's still a savior's complex. You're taking somebody that wasn't going to be able to do this as easily if they didn't have you, and telling them, well, if you come work for me, which I don't know if this is how her, hiring tactic is, but if you come work for me, I'll be able to do X, Y, and Z for you. That's still a savior's complex. And then at the same time, you are benefiting out of something, out of a way that you were able to help somebody else. And for me to be who I am and know how it is for those that don't really like being put on by other people or having somebody else do everything for them and rather get it out their butt. Like, my fiance is literally the embodiment of that. He never wants anybody to do anything for him where they could be like, well, I did X, Y, and Z. Because if you did X, Y, and Z out of the kindness of your heart, it wouldn't be a comeback if you guys get in an argument or just fall out, period. Right? And so I feel like when you want that type of control over somebody and somebody's future, I feel like that could be kind of detrimental, because not only is that a savior's complex, but I feel like that's a little bit too controlling. And if you think differently, if you've listened to the episode or you just think differently from what I'm saying, definitely let me know. And I will talk about it in the next episode so we can have a conversation. But first glance, first listen, that was kind of hard. That was like one of the one points that was kind of hard for me to listen to, because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like if you want to have that much control over somebody, you're probably not doing something for the right reasons, or you're trying to, I don't want to say guilt trip or, blackmail. It's none of those things, but you're trying to incentivize somebody working for you by how much you can do for them or how many resources you can give them in order to reach, whatever height or level that they want to reach to. And I mean, if that's networking, that's networking, but it shouldn't be, oh, this is what I want to do, but you're telling me for the 2 to 3 years or even a year. I think she said that everybody that works for her, she asks them to be there for a year, but she really truly does want them to be there longer than that. So I'm saying, like, if you want them to be longer than you want them to be there for longer than a year, you're asking them to put whatever they want to do for themselves on the back burner until they're done helping you with this project. But that type of platform, that type of project with being in the social media eye and being in that realm and industry is never done. You're going to forever need to evolve. You're going to forever need these people to do what you hired them to do, unless of course you go and hire somebody else. But at the same time, I don't think anybody should be putting their life on hold, their personal goals on hold for the sake of somebody else to be successful. Like, if you are not able to do both, maybe remove yourself from that. But for somebody to require people that are working under her or working for her and helping her cultivate this dream that she wanted, for you to ask these people to put their personal lives aside, if they lose this job or this LTTA, whatever they contribute to that brand, if they lose that or they no longer want to do it, what do they have to fall back on? The 1 to 2 to 3 to however long you want people to be there for you. If they left LTTA to pursue whatever they wanted to pursue, and they have now gained 4 years on life and no experience because they put your needs and your wants before their own. I just feel like that kind of sets them back that kind of sets them back from what they truly want to do. And so to me, I never want to hold anybody back. But as long as I get your undivided attention when you are here on set with me, as long as I get your undivided attention and all of your effort when I am paying you to do something, that is all that I am worried about. I am not worrying about what you are doing in your free time. If you are working with me on this LTTA app and all of this other stuff, then work with me. But I am not going to put your life on hold and what you want to see your life become because I want you to be in my shadow forever. Like, that whole I want people to work under me mess was really hard to listen to, because it was like, not everybody doesn't want to always work under somebody. There are some people that want to work under somebody to get the experience and the blueprint and the map of what to do and what they think will work for them, so that they can go and make a new blueprint for themselves. And so I feel like that, was kind of like, I think the reason why it kind of hit so hard for me was because that's kind of how corporate America is, and how I've kind of been dealing with corporate America as of late, because the department that I left, the managers and everybody that, I kind of worked for, completely turned their shoulder when I moved on and did something that was better for me. But when I was under them and I was, bringing them good results and putting them on a pedestal, and getting everything where it needed to be, where nobody has seen it for 3+ years until I got there, when I was doing good for you, when I was working under you, when I was bringing you results, you were happy, you were cool, you were, super nice and talkative and whatever. But then as soon as I made a decision that would benefit me and wouldn't benefit you, you turned a blind eye. Like, you turned your head, you turned your, whatever against me, and have not just have not reached out, have not like nothing. And so that's how I kind of perceive that message is, as long as you're working under me and giving me everything that you have in your tank, I am happy. But the moment you try to deviate from that and do your own thing, and I'm not saying, take away the effort and results that you're bringing me, I'm just saying you doing something to, gain better knowledge or experience, or put yourself out there for yourself for personal reasons. That's when I'm upset with you. That's just crazy to me, and I don't like it whatsoever. That's kind of why it hits so hard, because I've already been through that with the transition of the departments that I've been through with management so far, and it's just like, that kind of hits, because not only does somebody feel like they're doing a disservice to themselves, but they feel like what they contributed and what they did while under you never mattered. It was the fact that you wanted me to stay under you and not venture out and become my own person apart from you. Now, the next thing that I do want to say was kind of hard to listen to was when she said, when her friend was like, this happened recently. I called you with an opportunity that I received, and you were just kind of, okay. Not, she's saying that B Simone wasn't, really happy, or she seemed like there was something wrong with her as far as the news that her friend gave her as relating to the business opportunity or whatever that friend received. And she was just, kind of confiding in B Simone and trying to tell her, like, hey, I received this opportunity. And, when you receive certain opportunities, I don't know how big it was for her. But when you tell people, you want the people that you're telling to be excited for you. And if they're not excited for you, that's when you take a mental note, because that may or may not be a monitoring spirit. But, she said that B Simone was like very nonchalant about it. And she's talking to B Simone while she's, saying all of this. But she was basically saying like B Simone was kind of nonchalant about it. She didn't really say anything. And like they had gotten off the phone. But then B Simone said she was so convicted and received God's word about, something didn't sit right in her heart with how she kind of responded to her friend getting this type of opportunity. And so when she called her back, she was like, I didn't feel right about that. Let me get this straight. I feel like she felt conflicted with her own feelings, because it's like, yeah, I feel jealous, but at the same time, it's just like, dang. But the whole friendship dynamic is weird, and I'll give my own like kind of points on it. But I felt like, when she was like, yeah, you called me back, and she was like, yeah, I kind of asked you, her talking to B Simone, she was like, yeah, I kind of asked you if you were jealous, if you were upset, like all of those things. And I just feel like when you start throwing certain stuff out there like that, there may be some underlying things going on. And so B Simone was like, no, I wasn't jealous. No, I didn't want what you had. But it's like, she was upset, and she said this. She said she was upset because she was brought that opportunity and it wasn't through B Simone, right? And so that goes back to that controlling aspect, because it's like, why do you want any and everything that, opportunity wise, that come to your friends or loved ones or whatever? Why do you want it to be from you? Like, they should be able to go out there. Like, I want you to be able to go out there and get these endorsements and brand deals and all this stuff by yourself. I don't want you to be waiting on me, because if you got to wait on me, that is something that you're not fully, invested in. If you're fully invested in something and you truly want something for yourself, especially different opportunities and brand deals, that is something that you should be grinding hard for. If I have the connections to, push some people your way, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do that, but I don't want people to be waiting on me hand and foot to bring certain business opportunities to them. Okay, so she was saying she was upset because this opportunity was brought directly to her friend and it had nothing to do with her. And so she said she wasn't jealous or didn't want what she had, but she was upset that the opportunity that she got was not something that, one, included her, B Simone, and two, it didn't come from her putting in like a good word or something like that. And so that definitely goes back into the controlling aspect. And I don't want to say it's codependency, because at the same time, like, codependency, it's always like you wanting or needing somebody to do something with you in order for you to get things done. But this type of instance that I'm talking about right here was a controlling factor. Like, you want to be the person that put everybody on, and you don't want anybody else to go out there and get it out the mud by themselves, or for them to be brought an opportunity that excludes you. I just feel like you do not need to be the pinpoint or the center point or involved in everybody's stuff. If you were worried about this LTTA project, if you were worried about what you got going on and you expanding this project, you created an app, you created a web, all of this stuff, why are you so fixated on her getting this type of opportunity and that it didn't include you? Wouldn't you be worried that this probably would have took your concentration and all your attention away from LTTA? And so the brain power that would have had to be split between this project and this opportunity probably wouldn't have coincided. And so I feel like she just wants to be involved in everything with everyone, that I feel like it's not healthy. And I kind of already felt like the friendship just by listening, not even watching the YouTube, because when I started seeing some of the clips, it looked kind of crazy as well. But like with their body language and all of that, but just listening to it, it felt like this friendship was on the rocks already. And as a friend, if you have an issue with me or anything that I have done, do not get on my platform and try to air me out in front of my viewers. Like, kudos to B Simone for even being strong enough and willing to post the episode. But to me, that friend probably would have been cut off if, there wasn't certain things that we talked about before the podcast, because there were a lot of times where she was like, well, tell me what you mean by that. Well, oh, well, elaborate on that, because I didn't know X, Y, and Z. Like, oh, I did that. Explain that to me. Like, how did it make you feel? There were a lot of instances on that episode where B Simone continuously like asked her certain questions, and then also had to ask her to elaborate on certain things because she probably didn't know how it affected or offended, or how it came across to her friend. And so I just felt like in a friendship like that, we should be able to have conversation off the mic, off the couch, not in front of people unless you want other people that have been involved to be there. We should be able to have that in private. And then if I did let you on a podcast episode, there should not be anything that's coming up that's brand new to me, because we should have already had this conversation and we should be able to address it and, kind of elaborate on it more thoroughly. But I felt like her friend kind of got on the couch, on the mic, and kind of just aired her out. And I'm like, well, it felt like to me there was some animosity there, because there was one part in the episode where B Simone was like, well, do you feel like I've been a good friend to you? And she was like, yeah, you're a good friend. And she was like, well, how? Like, in what ways have I been a good friend to you? And, sometimes, you just need that little booster of like, okay, this person appreciates when I do this. Because then you can take a mental note and be like, hey, like, she feels more seen. It's kind of like those love languages. She feels more seen when I show up like X as a friend, or she feels more seen if I do this as a friend, right? And so I felt like when she asked that question, her friend gave her a completely different answer than what being a good friend, or how she has been a good friend, like what? I was super confused. She asked her how has she been a good friend, or how does she feel like she's been a good friend? And the girl kind of was like, yeah, I feel like you've been a good friend. And she was like, well, how? First off, she took the longest pause a friend could pause, because I'm like, if she's been a good friend, you should be able to, kind of have an example of some sort to tell, or, have some good attributes or good characteristics that you've seen in your friend, and be able to kind of explain that to her. But she paused for a long second. She kept saying, and she was like, well, I'll give you this example. This actually happened. And the example that she gave was the fact that I think she lost a loved one, and uh, B Simone asked her, would she want her to come over with flowers? And she said, I just wanted you to come over whether you brought something or not. So y'all tell me, when somebody asks you, have I been a good friend and how, and that is the example that you bring up, do you interpret that as, oh, in this moment she was a good friend, or in this moment she's saying that she was a good friend? No, you're criticizing her for asking you if she could come over, or what do you want in that moment. You're criticizing her or kind of faulting her because she didn't just come over. She didn't just, she didn't just bring the flowers. She asked you instead of just doing. And so at that point, I knew something was off, because I was like, there's no way, if my friend asked if they have been a good friend to me, and for me to give them an example, that I would have gave that type of example. Because to me, she was saying, I didn't like that. Like, she literally said, like, all I wanted you to do was just come over with flowers, and instead you asked. Well, to me, for me to be somebody that doesn't want to intrude on somebody's, especially when somebody's grieving, like you saying that this is somebody that was super close to you that passed away, I'm not just about to come over and be all up in your face. Depending on how long I've known you, like even my best friend now, I've known her for like 2 years, just about. Yeah, 2 years. I met her the same year I met my fiance. But I don't know how long they've been friends, but even now with my best friend, I've only known her for 2 years. But if she lost somebody close to her, I would not just show up. Like, you may have a grieving process that I am not aware of, depending on how many people you've lost, uh, in the duration of our friendship. Or if we haven't had this conversation, which whoever has who has this conversations with their friends, like, oh, if you lose somebody, how do you want me to show up for you? I mean, maybe that's something that you can start bringing up with your friends, but nobody likes to think about death. And so because nobody likes to think about death, we don't talk about it. So if we don't talk about it, I don't know how to show up for you in certain situations. And especially something as severe as that. So I felt like that was kind of like a low hitter, because I'm asking you, have I been a good friend? You said yes, but you can't give me an example. And the example that you do give me is an example of a time that you wish I would have chose different actions and shown up for you in your time of need. But if we've never talked about it, or I don't know how you grieve, because when certain people grieve, it is a very different. And I don't know the grieving stages, but if you don't want to be around people, like truly don't want to be around people, I'm not going to force myself around you because you don't want that. Now, I'm going to give you some space. I'm going to, check in on you. Like when my best friend had went through surgery and she was going through, I call it her depression phase. And she truly did not think she was depressed. And I was telling her, you really do need to go get checked, or, go talk to somebody. I did a whole basket. But, there were certain times that she was by herself, or she was crying, or, she was just, thinking too internally. And for me, I don't know what to do in that situation. So to make sure I don't overstep, I'm going to ask you how you want me to show up, or I'm just going to ask you, do you want me to come over? I don't feel like somebody should be held that should be held against somebody because they asked if you wanted them to come over. What if you had other loved ones there? What if you had, a guy there? What if you had, like, all these other things could have played out? And if I had just shown up unannounced, because I don't like people showing up to my place unannounced. So I'm darn sure not going to show up to anybody else's stuff unannounced. And that's how I was raised. And so if I'm asking you, if you need me to bring you anything, or if you want me to bring flowers, I felt like that was a low hitter, because she was just asking how to show up for you in that moment, and you utilize that example to kind of show her that you're not a good friend. That's the opposite of the question she asked you. She asked you if she has been a good friend to you. You said yes, but then gave her that example. That's you didn't show up for me in this moment, and I have held like some type of grudge or animosity or resentment towards you because of that. All right, so like I said, I don't know how their relationship is. I don't know if it's on the rocks. But it felt like it's on the rocks. It felt like it's on the rocks. But just learn how to show up in spaces when your friends and your partners need stuff, because this isn't just as far as friends. This goes as far as your partners as well. And I feel like if you're not careful, like just going back to the whole opportunity that was brought to her friend and B Simone wasn't included. If you're not careful, your actions and how people perceive the way you're reacting towards certain things can be perceived as, you want to hand in everybody's success, and also just wanted to have the bragging rights to say that you were able to help put somebody onto something if they become successful. And I don't know if B Simone has that mentality as far as, oh, well, I put X, Y, and Z on, and I did this for them, and I did Y for them. If you've already said you're tired of people taking advantage of you, and, you said that God is using you to plant seeds into other people, I feel like at some point, if she does get into a disagreement or an argument with somebody, if that whatever she did for them comes up, that is the type of person you then know who they are. Because, like I said earlier, if you do something out of love and care and wanting to genuinely help somebody, it should not come back as a diss when you guys fall out. Okay, but she had already said she felt like people were using her to get to certain places and then leaving her. Well, then why do you want to continue to have, certain control or reign over what people are able to accomplish while under you? Why do you want to build an empire? Like, it just, some things just contradict and it doesn't make complete sense. So, one thing that I do feel like a lot of women in particular struggle with is compartmentalizing. And when I say that, it means dealing with the task at hand in the capacity that it needs to be dealt with. I feel like a lot of us, women in particular, because sometimes I do this, we get angry over here in the left box, but then we have to go to work or we have to go deal with somebody in the right box, on the right side of the box or whatever. And because we felt so bad for whatever happened in the left box, that feeling, that emotion, whatever is going on travels over to the right box, and now everything is in a disarray. Men compartmentalize the best, I feel like, because whatever happened here, they don't let that come and bother them here. Okay? Whatever happens at work, most of the time we bring work home. I feel like females, majority of the time, bring work home. But when my man comes home from work, I may ask him how his day is, and he'll say like, "Oh, this X, Y, and Z happened," but he doesn't harp on it unless I ask him, because I'm trying to alleviate some stress for him. I'm trying to let him know that I am here for him if he needs to talk about anything, and he does the same for me. So that compartmentalizing, being able to come home, and although I had stress at work and I was frustrated, upset, all of the things at work, I'm not allowing that to affect my communication and my energy when I come home. I'm a different person at home than I am at work. All right. So, and then at the same time, the reverse of that, I feel like, is a little bit harder if you and your partner or whatever is going on at home and you do go to work. Sometimes that can flow over, but being able to deal with situations at hand and not letting your emotions and hardships that happen in a different realm or a different space of life affect that is very important. And so I felt like with her, she does, with B Simone, she does intermingle her friendships and her work relationships, because of a lot of her friends are also her business partners, or a lot of her friends are also people that show up on her podcast. I feel like that particular episode was the pure definition of not being able to compartmentalize, because I felt like that friendship right there, that conversation right there should have happened off the podcast. And I don't know if they did it for views. I don't know if they did it for, content, but regardless, that should have been completely separate from the business and project of the podcast that you are working on. And that is when I feel like that business and work friend relationship, whatever, is coinciding, because at a particular point, there are going to be business decisions that need to be made from a work standpoint, and not decisions made because, oh, this is my friend. And so I feel like that is definitely like something that's also playing into all of this, is because not only do you want people to grow under you, but you also want people to only worry about the project that you're hiring them for. And yes, you hire them to stay for a year, but you want them to stay more than that. But then you don't want them to, under like pursue anything personally for their own personal gain, but then you want to be in connection with whoever they're connected with and get the same opportunities, or at least included on the opportunities that they are given. But then at the same time, you want to dictate if you're able to put somebody on or not. Like, it's just a lot of contradicting, and then it's a lot of issues with not being able to compartmentalize. Because as a friend, I want you to be able to go off and do whatever you want to do as long as you are able to do it. But when you are working with me and I am paying you for a job, I want to receive the services that I am paying for. And then as a boss, as a work partner, whatever, there are certain decisions that we need to make together, or there are going to be certain decisions that I make for the business that I need to benefit the business and not just you or not just me. So I feel like women and especially are unable to compartmentalize, and I feel like that's something that we all need to work on, especially me. And if you got that down, girl, kudos to you. Teach me your ways, okay? But that is definitely something that I can see as an issue in B Simone's like work, friendship, partnerships or whatever, or friends that she work with or friends that she hires. So like it's a lot of issues that can go wrong, and things that can go far worse than I feel like than they have been. um but yeah, I just feel like, if somebody is presented an opportunity, you should be happy for that person. Like I said, if my friends cannot be happy for me when I am telling them about something, or they are constantly trying to one up the information or news that I am telling them, that is an issue to me. That is going to come off as jealousy or bitterness or unhappy for me. Because as a friend, you should want to see me win, because I'm going to always want to see you win. And if you are constantly trying to one up me, or you're never, excited for me, you're never like, oh my gosh, congratulations, because in that conversation I never heard once that she's even said congratulations for the opportunity that you've been presented, right? And it could come off as jealousy. It could come off as you want either what I have, or you're upset because you're not a part of it, or you didn't have a hand in it. So the last kind of point that I'll make before I start to wrap everything up, the last thing that I saw everybody kind of harping on was the fact that she, was kind of like tearing up, or getting watery eyed, about to cry about her finances and how she had to leave Bloomingdale's, which that may be way outside my tax bracket because I don't even know what Bloomingdale's is. But she was like, she had to leave Bloomingdale's to go to H&M because she's trying to watch her finances a little more. And so I feel like her having that that revelation, I don't see why people are criticizing it so much. The only thing I see it as is she has already been saying almost for a year that she has been nitpicking almost every penny that she spends, because the app that she's doing is super expensive. Like all of the things going into this project is super expensive, and the liquidity that she had in her assets and money is not as fluid as it used to be before. And so she's just trying to make sure like she's budgeting correctly. And so to me that makes sense, because y'all, my OGs know that I have talked about credit card debt and being more responsible and being more intentional with what I spend my money on. And I got emotional when I found out that I did not trust myself in finances. That was a very emotional point for me. And so to be able to have that revelation and then move forward with what I need to do and setting plans and checkpoints in place for when certain things happen, that was revolutionary for me. So I understand her getting teary eyed. And like I said, that's why if you don't listen to her, if you have never listened to a podcast episode from her, you may not understand certain reactions or emotions that she's having in certain points of this podcast. And so I understood that because I've listened to her podcast since the very first episode, and she talked about wanting to build this project to the best that it could be, whatever her vision entails. And so with that comes budgeting in her own private life. And for somebody that has had the liquid, she said that she's hit $1 billion before. For somebody that has had that type of money and has seen that type of commas in their bank account, to now having to budget, that could be very detrimental to the mind. That could be very emotional, because you went from having all this liquidity in your assets and being able to come out with so many brands, to now having a budget for this one project because you want it to go so far. And so to me, I understood that emotion because I've been through it myself, to where I've just been spending. And I was like, girl, you are at the breaking point of, you may need to file for bankruptcy to get your cards reset, but take a big hit to your credit file, your credit history, your credit report, your credit profile. And so when you get serious about certain things and start seeing things and the errors in your ways of how you used to spend versus how you need to spend, that is very emotional. So I understood that. What I don't appreciate is the fact that people are trying to tear her down for saying, "Oh, you still got money if you shopping at H&M." Everybody's situation is not the same. Yes, you may see H&M as high end, But if she's seeing Bloomingdale's is high end to her and she had to leave to go to H&M because it's cheaper to her, why are y'all so worried about this girl pockets? Why are you worried about H&M still being expensive to y'all, but it's not as expensive to her because she was shopping at these high end luxury retail places with the comma prices? Like, no, like everybody's expensive is relatively different. Everybody's interpretation of things are different. And so I feel like a lot of people love to harp on B Simone. And everybody has flaws. Like the stuff that I've talked about are just flaws. I'm not saying that she has to be perfect. I'm not saying I don't like her because of the things that transpired in that conversation with her friend. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying certain things that I interpreted, certain things that have gone viral on TikTok, Instagram, wherever, that I have noticed are being taken out of context and like reading in a little bit more into it from my standpoint. I'm not saying one point in time that she is wrong, that she is a terrible person. I'm not saying any of that. There's stuff that all of us have to work on. And like I always tell y'all, when I get on this mic and I talk and I feel better about myself and I feel better about certain situations and I feel more clear headed about certain decisions that I've made and what I am going to make, that conversation and her being able to air that, she may be able to utilize that as something to either build her relationship better with that friend and know the errors of her ways, or she may be able to be like, okay, this was an eye opener. Maybe I don't need to associate myself with her as much because she took this opportunity I gave her to sit on my couch and potentially completely flip the script. Like they had just gotten back from the BET Awards. Like, how did we go from having a good time to this? Like, this is the type of conversation that we're having that may have needed to be had off the couch. So she's able to look back at that interview, no matter how hard it hurts, and see things through a different lens. If not now, later on, right? Because with personal experience, we are able to talk and be able to discuss different things and look at things in a different light than we did when we were actually going through them. Okay, so the positive viewpoint on some of these thoughts that I've gave is that she is a team player. She wants other people around her to win, and she wants to win with you. The only thing is, you also have to be content and happy for those if they decide to win in spaces that does not involve you. That is my only thing with this whole situation. If you are only happy for those who win with you, around you, or for you, and you're not happy for them when they decide to win in spaces that does not involve you whatsoever, there's an issue there. All right. So that is my viewpoint. I hope they're like, if they decided that this was the end of their friendship or to take a break, because, just like relationships, sometimes we need to step back from whatever the issue is at hand to kind of reconcile our thoughts, get that stuff together, and then come back to the table with the other person and talk about it. So if it was the turning point for them to build their relationship and their friendship stronger, I love that for them. But if they decide to go their separate ways, I completely understand. Because the last thing that I just thought about was the friend said that she hasn't been there as much as she used to because B Simone is who I'm referring to when the friend says she. B Simone hasn't been there as much as she used to because she feels like she's in an era of either self-reflection or what is it? Not exclusion, but confinement. Like, not confinement, but she's in a season of, kind of detaching from things that aren't kind of serving her purpose. And I feel like that's a yes and a no. Another compartmentalizing issue where you still need to be there for your friends. You still need to reach out. You still need to have some connection with your friends outside of work. If work is all you're worried about and all you're talking to people about, there is no time for you to have a personal life. And so I feel like she's kind of wrapped herself into this work mentality to get this brand and podcast and all, project and all of this up, that she hasn't really taken the time to kind of check in with people outside of just work. And so, like I said, that could be a compartmentalizing issue as well, because yes, I understand this is something that you're passionate about, but there are other things that people are passionate about, other things that people want to talk about other than just work. And so I hope that they can figure all of this out. I hope it works for them. Uh, but if it doesn't, I completely understand, because I felt I felt the tension in the air just listening, and that was me not even watching the YouTube. So if you've watched the YouTube, if you've seen clips on social media, tell me what your thoughts are. I kind of feel like if you haven't really listened to her since the beginning of her journey, then I feel like this could be like those clips of just pure seconds of the conversation could definitely be taken completely out of context. So I hope you guys kind of got something for this. I just want you all to be confident in who you are. I want you to be confident in who you choose to hang around. I want you to be confident with your friends and in your friends. And I want you to be confident that things that are meant for you are truly for you. Things that are meant for other people, if you're included or not, is meant for them, and not to try to take away anybody's joy or one up somebody just because of the experience or inexperience that they've had. Oh yeah, rewinding just a little bit, I just remembered this last part, and I promise I'll let y'all go because we are at an hour and 5 minutes. But the last thing that I realized with her friend, another thing that that it was controversy online about, was her friend going bankrupt or homeless, having to move back in with her parents, being a single mom, being divorced, like all of this in like 1 year. And all B Simone had to say was Jesus, da, 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 da. All of that. And so I could see where that could be taken good and bad as well, or there's a negative and a positive to that. But I feel like I said, I felt like her friend got on there to kind of air that shit out and then say her deuces, and then kind of like give herself a platform to, one, kind of have people side with her, two, to, kind of bash B Simone, and three, to basically tell B Simone, like, bitch, I'm out. But her friend was like, I had went bankrupt, I had went homeless, I had to move back in with my parents. I got divorced. I'm a single mom. And I went through all of that in 1 year. And I've seen you give checks to other people willingly. Well, yeah, I mean, I would hope that when she's giving checks to other people is willingly. But one thing that I saw online was that everybody was like, oh my gosh, she let her friend go through all of this and didn't help her not once. You guys, if I'm going through stuff, and this is me being completely transparent, I'm not trying to side with B Simone or anything. If I'm going through stuff, because like I said, we don't know everything that goes on behind closed doors or what's going on behind the curtains when they're, just by themselves. But if I'm going through something, I never bring that up to my friends. I don't bring that up to my friends. I don't even talk to my parents or my family members about it. Like, I may or may not even bring it up to my fiance, because we are a partnership. So he's always going to have my back, and he's very solution based like I am. And when I'm too emotional, he will be that solution based, fix for me. And so I feel like for her to be able to say that, I want to completely understand, did B Simone even know about that stuff? Yes, certain, friends should pick up on certain things, but I'm also the type of person that's like, oh, when somebody asks me, hey, like, I'll give you this, or hey, I could do this, X, Y, and Z for you. I'm also the person that's like, no, I'm fine. So I don't know the full transaction behind, her going through all of that within a year. But at the same time, if you didn't ask for assistance and you just saw her giving stuff out and she didn't truly know what was going on in your life, maybe because y'all don't talk as much, or maybe because, you always have a good, always have a smile on your face, like nothing ever looks wrong unless you bring it up. Like, because some people just don't know what other people are going through unless you make them aware. And so I don't know. I didn't want to kind of choose sides on that because I could see it from both sides. I mean, B Simone acted as if she didn't know that happened. And then the friend is acting as if you should have been able to realize that. But we all need to understand because women do this the most. We always want people to read our minds or figure out what we're going through without us telling them out of our mouths that we're going through something and need their help. So did B Simone actually know that you went through all of this? Did you separate yourself and seclude yourself from her when you were going through this? Because a lot of people will distance themselves because they don't want other people to see what they're going through. But then at the end of the day, they want to be able to bring it up and be like, well, you weren't there for me. Well, did you even tell me? Did you even want me around? How would I have even known if we weren't talking? How would I have even known if when I asked you that if everything was okay, you said, yeah, you're good or you don't need anything. Okay, I'm not gonna keep on, I'm not going to try to read your mind or read between the lines when you're telling me verbatim out of your mouth that you're okay. Like I said, I don't know if she said she was okay. I don't know if B Simone even knew about these situations or, hardships that she was in. But like I said, that was something else that she brought up where I'm like, girl, this is a one-on-one conversation that needs to be had, that's being had on the couch on this mic in front of people that are now taking a lot of things out of context, and they already kind of like spread this hate with B Simone. And I just feel like any chance that people get to spread that hate, like anytime B Simone does something good or, exceptionally well or outstanding, no, I don't see that anywhere. But as soon as her friend bashes her basically in her face on her own platform, that's when stuff starts to take off. And so that's why I don't like the friend. And there's certain situations that I see myself in B Simone, and other places where I'm like, okay, girl, you could do better in this. And y'all be honest, did I ever at one point side with B Simone completely? No. My viewpoint, y'all can tell me, my viewpoint is completely biased because I see it from both sides, but it's like, girl, be so for real. You just got on here and did not say one good thing about anything that I did or have done for you as a friend or individually. So that's my TED Talk today, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening if you listened to this all the way through, even if you were just bored and needed something to play in the background. And like I said, thank you all so much for being flexible with me with not always posting on a Monday. But next week we are going visual. Like I said, follow me on all socials. I'm on TikTok, which once I go visual, I'll start posting like more of my face on TikTok, as well as Instagram. And then Instagram, obviously, prettyconfident.pod, TikTok, YouTube, The Pretty Confident Podcast, my email, theprettyconfidentpodcast@gmail.com. And then I'm on Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio, where you can get all your audio. And then next week, you'll be able to get your visual on YouTube. But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Pretty Confident Podcast. Remember, confidence isn't about perfection. It's about embracing who you are. Until next time, stay bold, stay authentic, and stay